All right, today we are doing linear equations in 3 dimension. So our essential question is, how do I graph in 3D?
You got
Easy
it.
enough.
So think about a GPS system, right? Well, your phone, anything these days,
Right.
gives locations using 3 coordinates.
hmm
We have a latitude, you have a longitude, and you have an elevation. So the whole world, everything's in 3 dimension. So you really have to understand what that means. Today, we're going to talk about a 3 dimensional coordinate system. So when you're talking 3 dimensions, so Miss Boyd, we're used to, which 2 dimensions are we used to?
X and Y.
Right. So we're going to introduce one more, and it's called Z.
Oh, that makes sense. It
Yeah.
just goes in alphabetical order.
Right. So
Okay.
here's a picture, and we're going to demonstrate this more in class.
Right.
But it's talking, and I want you to pay close attention because in geometry, Miss Boyd and I were just talking,
Yeah,
they treat it a little different. In Algebra 2, this is how you have to learn it.
Okay.
So notice the X comes out, it's like a line coming out at you.
Yep.
The Z is up and down, and the Y is left and right. And I know geometry, you were saying earlier that it's different.
Before we did the X and the Y normal and we had the Z coming out, but it's changed for Algebra 2.
Yes, it is. So that's what you need to remember. There's your 3 axes. Notice that the axes form 3 planes that intersect at the origin.
Okay.
So one thing you're going to find out later is we're going to ask you to find intercepts. That's what this helpful hint is. And think about it. How did we find an intercept before when we had just had X and Y? So if we wanted to find the X-intercept, what did we do with Y?
Plugged in 0.
Right. So think about it this way. If we have an X, Y, and a Z, and we want to find the X-intercept, we're going to set
0 for Y and Z.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all this helpful hint is saying.
Okay.
So the next page says this. I'm trying to get there.
Sorry, I was playing.
Oh, I'm there. So we're on example 1. So let's go through this now.
Okay.
This says graph the point in 3-dimensional space.
Okay.
One thing I'm going to have Miss Boyd do right now is, yes, exactly.
Good.
X,
Y,
you have a Y, and you have a Z.
Z.
And so I see there's words there in front of us. And what that is basically saying, you always start at 0, 0.
Okay, always start there.
And notice the axes are labeled there.
Okay.
So if X is positive, that means you're going that way.
Myself.
Yep.
3
and
spots.
some students get confused. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to the left," but no,
it's
like you're coming out. It's like you're walking. It's like you're walking forward.
Oh, okay.
3 steps. Now from there, from there. Now you don't go back to the origin. Now, now we go to the left 2. That's what -2. 1 and 2. And now we go up 1. And then
oh boy. But you don't always go back to the axis, that was my problem there. I wanted to go to that axis.
Right.
You only go up one spot.
Only one.
Okay.
And so can you maybe do a dot where the point is? There's your point, right? Yep. So let's go down. Let's just do another one. Example. Okay. Oh, and look at this. Oh, can we handle this?
We can do it.
Now, if you want, we could put the little.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna make my own tick marks.
Okay, she's gonna make her own tick marks.
Here's X, Y,
and Z.
So remember, we always start at the origin.
Yep.
We're gonna go out 2. So I'm gonna go 1, 2.
Yes. Perfect.
From this point,
yep.
I'm gonna go to the left 1.
And I'm gonna
then I'm gonna go down 3. 1, 2, 3.
And notice how great Miss Boyd did. That's all we need to see. We like the tick marks. Because then we know what you're counting.
Yeah.
Whether you do lines on the axes or do the tick marks. I prefer the tick marks.
I prefer the tick marks too, because when you do the axis, it gets all
you don't know what's lined up with what, and I like this way better. Perfect. Okay, that's example 2. Example 3.
All right, same thing.
X, Y, and Z.
Okay, so I'm starting at my origin.
Yes.
I'm going back 1 now.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back 1.
Yep.
I'm not going left or right this time.
Correct.
Because it's 0.
Yep.
But I am going to go
up 2.
Up 2. So 1,
2, and there's our point.
My point.
That's it. That's all we're doing.
That's
pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down to example 4.
All right. Again, X, Y, Z.
Right.
Start at the middle. I'm coming
X is positive, so you're coming out 1.
I'm going to go to the
left 3. 1, 2, 3, and you're going up 1, which will really end us on the axis.
It will.
Yeah. Perfect.
Nice.
Okay, and I think Might as well do another
Yeah.
one. These are so quick.
Well, and since there's zeros, that kind of gets a
Oh,
little
yeah.
tricky.
So let's go through that.
Because I have to even think about it. Okay,
Right.
so I'm always starting at 0. I'm not going out or back any.
Yep. You're
I'm
not
gonna
going
go
left or right.
any.
So notice we're now still at the origin because
Yeah.
we didn't go forward or backwards. We
Right.
didn't go left or right.
Right.
But
So
we're
I'm
going to
gonna
go
go
up
one,
3, 2, 3.
3.
And there's
Oh
our
my God.
point. Perfect. Nice job. Oh, now. Okay. Well, that's pretty easy. It's plotting a point.
Yeah.
So it says here, recall that the graph of a linear equation in 2 dimensions, is a straight line.
Yeah, because we just have the X, the Y, we just make our line.
But in a 3-dimensional space, the graph of a linear equation is a plane. Let's maybe highlight that word, plane.
Because in order to identify a plane, like we talked about in geometry, you need 3 points to make a plane.
Yes.
So here we're making our 3 points. We're going to connect them. It's going to look probably like a triangle.
Right.
But that's going to be our plane.
Exactly.
Okay.
Here's our first example.
All right.
Now, notice on the last examples, Miss Boyd, it said graph the point.
Right.
So we were just graphing a point. Now there's different directions. It says graph the linear equation in 3-dimensional space. Notice our hint. Find the intercepts.
So we're going to want to find the X, the Y, and the Z.
So we're going to...
So I'm just going to quick rewrite this.
I like that.
All right. So
should we draw a line through that Z so they don't think it's a 2?
Sure.
That's my only little... There we go.
All right.
Yeah. So let's find the X-intercept first.
X. So we set everything else equal to 0 but X.
Yes,
so
correct.
2X minus 3 times 0 plus
0
Z times 0 equals negative 6.
Hold on. Pause. Not Z times 0.
Oh my gosh. It's just Z, which is 0.
Yeah, it's just 0.
I was going too fast.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. So it's just 0 because we're plugging in. Thank you.
Right. 0 for Z.
All right.
So now you
so
get
really
just
that
2.
All goes
right.
away.
You just get 2x equals negative 6. And you divide both sides by 2. And you get x is equal to negative 3.
Now let's write our point right away.
So it'd be...
Because our x comes first,
right,
which is negative 3.
Yep.
And we plugged in 0 for everything else.
Y and Z. There's our point. There's our 1 point. Now let's find our y-intercept. So same thing. Times 0.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, because we're finding y this time. There you go.
I was going to just rewrite it, but that's okay.
Oh, did you want to?
No, it's okay. So we'll do 2 times 0
minus 3 times y.
3 times y.
Plus 0 now.
0
equals negative 6. So notice what Miss Boyd did. X is 0 and Z is 0 because we're finding the y-intercept.
Perfect.
So now
this is going away and that's going away.
So
don't forget your negative.
Negative.
So
they forget that all the time, Miss Boyd.
Negative 6.
Divide both sides by negative 3. And you're going to get y is equal to 2. So let's write our next point, which would be...
So we found our y, so I'm going to put that
in the middle.
there.
Your
and
x is 0.
For everything else.
And there you go. So I'm going to float down for you so you can see. So let's find our third thing, which is a z-intercept.
Z. So we have
2 times 0 minus 3 times 0 plus z. Now you can write your z.
There we go.
Equals negative 6. Look how ezy this is.
Well, that cancels.
So z is equal to
negative 6.
So let's write our third point.
So that was z. So that's the negative 6.
Right.
And now we have 0.
0 and 0. So notice something.
Yes.
A mistake students want to make, Miss Boyd, is they want to write.
I'm going to write it off.
Yeah, would you? And then we'll cross it off.
Yeah.
They want to write 1 point. Negative 3, comma, 2, comma, negative 6. That is not correct.
Not right.
No.
Don't do it.
When you're graphing an equation, you're finding 3 points, you connect them, and you make a plane.
Okay.
So let's graph. Okay, so I'm going to have to float down for you.
But you have them, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Are you good with that then?
Yep.
Okay, can we label the axes though before we begin?
I'll get confused.
Yeah, so that's X, that's Y,
and
that's Z. Perfect.
Okay.
Now, sometimes if you get confused and it helps you, you can always put, let me show you a hint.
Yeah.
You see by that X, underneath the X, put a parenthesis underneath the X and put a plus.
Oh, and then this would be like the negative.
Yeah, students, if you want to do that, you guys can.
Okay.
And the same thing, but Y and do you think Y and Z, they don't really need that? Okay. So the first point is negative 3, 0, 0.
3.
Yep.
1,
2, 3.
I'm not going left or right, and I'm not going up or
no,
down.
There's
so
your
first point is right
And
here.
when you graph a linear equation, my suggestion is to plot, or not to plot.
To label it?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Next one was the y-intercept.
Okay.
0, 2, 0.
0, 2, 0. So 0, I don't go anywhere.
Yep.
2, I'm going to go over 2.
To the right.
2. And then I'm not going to go up or down.
Correct. So let's label that. That's going to
So
be
that's
0,
2,
2,
0.
0. And the third one is going to be 0, 0, negative 6.
Okay, so I don't go any way here. I don't go any way here.
And I go down
I
6.
go down 6.
1,
2,
2, 3,
4,
5, and 6. Good job. And we'll
And
label that
label that
as 0,
0,
yep,
negative
negative
6.
6. And all we're going to do, now let's be very careful here,
Yes.
because do you see the blue? The
Mhm.
blue is actually going to connect to the
Yep,
green.
yep.
Okay, you're good?
Yep, so I'm going to go down here.
Yep, and then the green connects to the red,
To there.
and the red connects to the blue.
And then
We generated a plane. That's what we have to see on a quiz
Mhm.
or a test, is that.
Perfect.
All right, let's go to the next one. This one we said we're going to do in class.
we're
So
gonna
we're going to
skip
skip that one. And then if I go to the next page, we're going to do the word
Yes,
problem in
definitely.
class. And I think that's
I
it.
think
We
we're
go to the
done.
next page. And
Perfect.
let's just maybe,
Ooh, let me
can you move
this.
our
Yep,
picture?
I sure will.
There we go.
There.
So there's your video question. Notice on the number 1, it says graph the point. There's the point. Which one is right? A, B, C, or D?
Right.
And here on the next one,
Just our
finding the
intercepts.
X, Y, and Z intercepts. You don't have to graph it.
Okay.
Okay.